What's up? Today is, what is today? Today is May 31st, 2016. This is my follow-up video to the video I posted on May 28th about going to see my dad for the first time. First off, I want to say thank you to any and everybody that sent me a message on Facebook, uh, Facebook Messenger message, or a DM on Snapchat. So, here we go. I left for the airport around I think like 3:30 that morning. And when I got there, like I was nervous, but I really got nervous because I had to wait like an hour before we boarded the plane. So I'm sitting out there in a little waiting area or whatever. Like all these thoughts running through my head and shit because it's just like this is it. Like this is the moment you waited for 28 years of your life. So get on the plane, whatever, fall asleep on that bad boy, get to Atlanta. In Atlanta, I really didn't have a lot of time to think about the fact that the next plane I get off of, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio, because literally I had to run to the gate just to get to the plane on time. So I landed Columbus. So I've landed in Columbus and I'm going to baggage claim and I'm going to see my dad. And go to the baggage claim. He had already told me what type of car he drove. So when I was coming down the escalator, I seen it from the window, but I didn't see anybody sitting in the car. So I get my bag from the baggage claim or whatever, and like before I go through the sliding doors, like I just stop, and I stop because I'm just like I could just go back upstairs and get on the plane and go back home because I'm not knowing what to expect at this moment, but it's just like fuck it, just go for it. So I go outside and I'm walking towards the car. Like I still don't see anybody in it, but I see this man walking towards me. Like he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, but I'm kind of like I'm in stranger danger mode at this point. And then like I'm like, is it him? Is it not him? Like I don't know because the only pictures I have were from when I was younger, and he had like a beard and he had hair or whatever. So he says Chris because my middle name is Christopher, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, it's your dad. So he gives me a hug, and when he hugged me, it was just how do I put it? It was kind of weird because it was a surreal moment because, like I say, it's a moment that I've waited for 28 years that I never thought would happen. So when he hugged me, I was just shocked. I don't think I was shocked at the fact that he was hugging me. I was shocked at the fact that we were finally meeting. So we get in the car and we start driving to his house or whatever. And he was like, yeah, you know, it's your dad. And I'm like, yeah. I said, you know, you look different from the pictures that I've seen, you know, because I haven't had any recent pictures of my dad, what, after, I guess you could say I was born. Pictures prior to that, like I say, he had hair, he had a full beard, and all that type of stuff. So we go to his house, and the first thing I say, because like I'm feeling like a stranger at this point, like I know I'm your son, I know you my dad, but this is our first time meeting. I don't know how your house operates, and I go in and I'm like, okay, do I take my shoes off? Like what? Like what's the procedure here? I don't know. I've never been here. He says, nah, you're good. You know, make yourself at home. No, he said you're at home. Don't worry about it. So he had went ahead and like decked out the guest room or whatever for me, and once I had unloaded my suitcase or whatever, then we went out to eat for breakfast because it was only about, I think I got to Columbus, it was like 10 o'clock in the morning. So it was still like, you know, of course, time to eat breakfast. So we go and have breakfast, and we spent like a good 3.5 hours in the restaurant just talking. And I think that was really important because of the fact of we've talked, but we've never got that in detail about just a lot of things in general, whether it be about my life, his life, or, you know, like how it just didn't work out between him and my mom. So I was really shocked at the fact that I didn't have to revert to like you wasn't here for this and you wasn't here for that. You know, he was just very open about everything and just his life in general. And he was telling me, you know, that sometimes everybody makes mistakes or, you know, they have regrets or whatnot. And I think I won't say me and him not having a relationship was a regret. I think that more so he'd wish that not so much time had passed by before we had actually met, and he started explaining things about how it just didn't work out with him and my mom, which, I mean, I already know because, like, my mom's told me, he's told me bits and pieces, but, he just gave me his side of the story. I can't say the full story because, there's always two sides to a story. But we just sat there and we talked for a good, like, 3 hours, and and he was telling me, like, it's pretty much like we're strangers meeting. And I'm like, yeah, because that's how it was. I mean, hell, I walked outside the airport and I didn't even know it was my dad. So, I mean, yeah, that's strangers meeting, of course. But it was just a real good talk. And I think it was just like a conversation that needed to be had, a conversation that a father should have with his son. He was telling me about his time in Vietnam, and he was telling me about the relationships he's been in after my mother, and just his rise to, like, a certain, I guess, hierarchy position, far as in the corporate world, and dealing with office politics and all that BS, and which we both can relate to. I mean, I'm not in a hierarchy position at my job, which I really don't plan on being because it's just not for me. Hey, to each his own. But it was a really good conversation. It was a really good conversation to me because of the fact of, like I say, I didn't have to ask him the questions that I needed answers to about why we didn't have a relationship. It's just like he just spilled it all out, and he spilled it all out in an honest way to where I didn't have to go and say, like, look, like, I know you lying, like, I just tell me the truth. Like, I'm old now, like, I'm 28, like, you don't have to sit here, you don't have to sugarcoat it for me. So I'll always respect him for that because he gave me the answers that I needed over the past 28 years. And I'm gonna get off subject for a minute because my homeboy from high school texted me the night before, and he was telling me, like, he was in the same situation with his dad. And let me see if I can pull up the text message right quick that he sent me the night before I actually got on the plane. And I'm not going to tell his name or anything because I respect people's privacy. He was telling me basically he had watched the video that I posted Friday on Facebook, and he was telling me dad is usually a person that's brought you guidance throughout your life, and a father is too official, in his words. But he thinks that pops would be cool, which it gave me a lot of perspective too because, like I say, in the video I posted last week, I'm like, I don't know if I call him dad, if I call him pops, do I call him father, do I call him by his first name? So I kind of went with dad and pops interchangeably the whole weekend. So that was pretty much Saturday, and then we went back out to eat Saturday evening at we went to some seafood place or whatever, and we just had another talk. You know what I'm saying? Just about life in general, and he was telling me things about his life, and I was telling him things about my life, and to me, I think the fact that, like, I'm older now, and I was just able to accept the fact that maybe we may meet, maybe we might not meet ever in life. I had come to peace with that like a long time ago. So as he's telling me these things, I feel like if I was younger, I probably would have been like in an emotional state just because, as a child, you're wanting to know, like, did you ever care about me? Was I not good enough for you? Things of that nature. But I didn't find myself in that position this weekend. And I probably didn't find myself in that position because he was just so open and honest with me. He didn't sugarcoat anything. So Sunday, he told me that Sunday is like gospel Sunday in his house. I'm like, cool. But uh I don't know how gospel Sunday turned into turnt Sunday because at a certain time during the day, we went from Kirk Franklin to Rick Ross and Yo Gotti. So my pops is like 68. So why he in this motherfucker playing Rick Ross? And I'm sitting in that bad boy like I know I'm not going crazy. Like I know my dad not sitting here at 68 years old and he playing Rick Ross. Yeah, that was just awkward to me for some reason. I guess because of the fact like I thought he's gonna be like them old school people, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and things of that nature. Things that we do have in common. We do have the same musical taste. I will say that. We both like peace and quiet. Like we really don't do the drama shit, which I probably get from him as well. What else? 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 Basically, like we're neat freaks. That I will say. Like my dad is a neat freak, like crazy, and I am too. Like I clean my house. I'll be up into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning cleaning my house. So we have the same musical taste. We don't like drama. We're both neat freaks. I think people tell me like I should be a comedian and things of that nature. I think I get that from my dad because while I was there, like he was cracking so many jokes, which I probably won't mention the type of jokes he was bringing up because they may be offensive to some people, and I don't want to hear people's mouth. Like I really don't. But those traits, qualities, whatever you want to call them, we do have in common. Now, while I was there, he was telling me about, like I say, his time in Vietnam, and he drove me around to like the neighborhoods he grew up in, and we went, downtown. And we went to like, I guess you could say, the more affluential parts of town where you have like the multi-million-dollar homes. And he was telling me about, he was going to buy a home there a couple of years ago and marry a school teacher. Another thing I see that we do have in common is when it comes to relationships. Shit, like he's been in more relationships than me, so I mean he got me beat because I don't know if my daddy used to be like a pimp or some shit back in the day, but like all the females he was telling me about, and I'm just like, damn. But thankfully this was after my mom and not during the time he was dating my mom. But what we have in common when it comes to relationships is I think the fact that like we're givers. And what I mean by that is like whoever we're dating will give them the world if we can, but the feeling's not reciprocated. And the more he was telling me about, I guess, like the people we dated or whatever, you could kind of see that it ended, but it was not due to him. Some of them were because of the fact of like he was telling me like 2 or 3 people like he thought about marrying, but he was just living his life. He liked to go out to the clubs and things of that nature. So he wasn't in the mindset to settle down. So unlike me though, I'm not ready to settle down, but I'm not one of those people that's in the club all the time either. But I think we have that in common too when it comes to relationships. And well, except for like I say, he got me beat when it comes to dating because I've never dated that many people, and I don't plan on either. But anyway, uh, what else happened? He kept feeding me a lot. He kept feeding me a lot, and anybody knows me knows that I like to eat, and I eat a lot. But I mean, he was feeding me like I was at a damn homeless shelter because I know Sunday night he cooked a steak dinner for us, and the motherfucking steak was so big. I'm like, have you ever ate so much and you like, okay, like I gotta finish the food, but like my stomach telling me if you take one more bite, like it's gonna come out, and it's not gonna be pretty. It was like that. So I told him like we sitting there talking and eating or whatever, and I'm like, yo, pops, I appreciate the meal, but like I think I'm done. I'm like, it's a lot of food on this plate. Like, and I'm not gonna be able to finish this. So, I leave the table or whatever, and he tell me he gonna take care of it. And as I'm walking to the bedroom, I'm like, I appreciate it. Like, don't get offended. Like, I appreciate it. It's just a lot of food on the plate. He's like, well, that's my job to take care of you. And it's like those type of moments where I was just like, it made me feel like it made me feel like a child again, you know what I'm saying? Because we didn't grow up in the same house, and I never heard that before. So it made me feel good inside, you know what I'm saying? To have my dad say something like, like it's my job to take care of you. Because even when I was there, like his buddies or whatever that were called, he had told them before I got there, like, my son is coming into town. He's like, I haven't seen him since he was like an arm baby. He's like, man, I really ain't got time to be talking to y'all right now. Like, my son here, like, we finna spend time together. So it's just like a surreal feeling, I guess, like I say, because it's just a moment that I never thought would happen. And then to get there, he say things like, it's my job to take care of you, or he's telling his friends, like, my son's in town, like, I don't have time right now. It's surreal because it's like I say, it's a moment that growing up I wanted to happen, but as I got older, I accepted the fact it may not happen. So when it's like right there in your face, it's just surreal. And I can't really describe it, but I'll just put it to you this way. Like, if you're in that situation where you're meeting, whether it be your father or your mother for the first time ever, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel weird because of the fact of you've learned to live a life without them, whether you have hate in your heart for them or you just wish them the best and, you hope nothing bad happens to them. It's definitely going to feel awkward because of the fact you moved on with your life, you know what I'm saying? You accepted it for what it is. Me personally, I know I did. What I learned this weekend is the fact that my dad never forgot about me. And as time went by and as he got older, I think he started to realize that maybe there were opportunities that were missed as far as my childhood or me being a teenager or whatever, which I don't hold against him. Like I told him, I don't have any hate for you, and I'm not here to sit and say what you didn't do or when you weren't when you were not there or anything of that nature. So right now we're in a good place. Of course I'm going to go back and see him. Like, I'm not saying like this is my first, this is my last time and things of that nature, but we're in a really good place. And 28 years later, like, I could say I actually have a relationship with my dad. Like this morning when he dropped me off at the airport, I gave him a hug and I told him I love him. This is the first time we've ever said to each other like I love you, because the conversations we've had over the years, they've been so brief and so short, to where I don't think I would have been able to say something like that just because of the fact of where my head was, as a child or a teenager, and somebody telling you they love you, but it's kind of like you never really have time for me. But as an adult, I've learned to let things go with my past, my past feelings or whatever about him years ago. Not just within this weekend, time span or whatever, but years ago. So all in all, it was a good trip. And I think I'm more so thankful because, like, my dad, he's had like a few surgeries over the years. And my biggest thing was I never wanted to get a call and say like my dad had passed and I had to go to a funeral and I'm sitting around like his side of the family, which I didn't really get a chance to meet like my family while I was there because of the fact this was just time for me and him, and this was not time to be showing me off and all of that type of stuff. But I did not want to get a call and, tell me my dad had passed away and I have to go to a funeral and, people are sitting there crying and they're giving me their condolences and I have no connection, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we talked here and there, but outside of that, it's kind of like the emotions that everybody else would feel, I wouldn't be able to relate. And that's a decision that I had to realize last year. I think the last time we had talked, because life is short and it's not promised to anybody. So, like I say, once I got off that plane in Columbus and got that back from the baggage claim, it was just like, this is it, whether it goes good or it goes bad, like this is the moment you waited 28 years for. Like, there's no turning back now. And luckily it worked out, it worked out. And I'll say this much, my dad cool as fuck. Like, my dad is cool as fuck. Like, I never would have thought, like, my dad would be so cool, but he's cool as fuck. And I respect that. You know, although he took me, you know, shopping and things like that, that's just like perks or whatever. But just those conversations that we've had, you know, this past weekend, that's worth more to me than anything that he gave and or bought for me while I was there. And for that, I will always have respect for him. Like, even if we have like an argument like 2 weeks from now or whatever when we talk, like, I will always respect the fact that he was man enough to be honest with me. So that was pretty much it. Today's May 31st, 2016, and this is the follow-up video to meeting my dad for the first time, which was posted on May 28th. I'm sorry, I'm jet lagged. I've had like 3 trips this month, and traveling is fun, but man, I'm motherfucking tired. So once again, I would like to thank any and everybody that sent me your support during this time, because, like I say, it was just a really, I won't say it was an emotional moment for me, because, like I said, I didn't cry or anything, but it was just a really anxious moment for me because I had waited my whole life for it. So I just want to say thank you to anybody. Send me a message, left me a reply to the video I posted. It did not go unnoticed. I'm sorry if I did not reply back to everybody. It's just that I had to get my thoughts together before I got on that plane about, you know, how am I going to approach the situation. And luckily, everything worked out. So that's it. Hopefully the video wasn't too long, because I was trying to give as much detail as possible without giving too much, if that makes any sense. But hey, if you watch it, you watch it. If you don't, you don't. And that's it. Just the two of us.